Hello everyone, it is Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. We are back after a week or so off after the US Open, and we are now travelling to the Far East to look at the Far East swing at the end of the season. If you haven't watched the channel, or you're new to the channel, or you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. That's all we ask you to do. Hit the subscribe button, comment on the shows, give us your feedback on our tips, and be part of the fastest growing sports betting community on YouTube here on the Betting Weekly Studios. Okay, good afternoon, Sean. How are you doing, mate? Nice few days off?
It wasn't bad, actually, thanks, yeah. I've got a bit of a cold now because, obviously, as soon as it goes below about 20 degrees in this country, I get a cold. So, yeah, the old brain's a little bit foggy. But, you know me, I'm soldiering on, Nigel. I'm not one to complain. Had a few nice little days, a little day out. One of my mates playing golf, which is like I haven't played golf in about 3 or 4 years, and it's not a game you can not play in 3 years and then pick it up again and be relatively decent. So that was interesting. But yeah, it just kind of, after the US Open, it kind of feels like the season should finish, really.
Yeah.
And then you have a bit of a break, and then this, like now, feels like almost like the start of a new season sort of thing. It's a strange thing, because you have like 8 or 9 months of tennis, and then it stops. Hello, Davis Cup, etc. And then you start again somewhere else. It's always a bit of a strange feeling this time of year. But this has traditionally been a very good part of the year for us, hasn't it? With winners.
Yeah, and a lot of players running on empty at the Davis Cup. Alex de Minaur injured, absolutely exhausted. Players cramping all over the place. Players pulling out injured. It's just it should end after the US Open. It's absolutely right.
It definitely should. I mean, if they had any sense, they would play the Asian swing at the start of the year. I mean, they already play Hong Kong. They should play all these tournaments at the start of the year and then move on to Australia, which would be a natural progression, wouldn't it, go in that way? But they're not. They're not going to do that. I think the problem is the Australian Open won't move from its current position, because they want it there, because it's their summer, the Australian summer of sport, as they call it. If they moved it back a few weeks, it would be, kids would have gone back to school and they'd kick up a fuss. So the Asian swing is here. It just randomly popped in at the end of the American swing, and then we've got the obviously indoor swing, which is utterly pointless at the end of the year. But there we are. That's the tour.
That is the tour. We do have 2 tournaments this week, though, on our comeback trail over in China. Chengdu and Hangzhou. Hangzhou? Is it Hangzhou?
I think it's Hangzhou, but I stand to be corrected on that.
Hangzhou. Chengdu and Hangzhou, they are the tournaments. As Sean said, we have had some decent winners on these tournaments in the last couple of years since we've been doing this show. So it could be a good time to get involved, even though the calibre of the tennis isn't that great. But obviously there's a lot of players there who have a long season. You put lines through certain players. Local players come out and play well. So there is a few angles in to guide you through here over the tournaments this week. Obviously it's a strange time. The tournament starts tomorrow, early hours of the morning. So it's a bit of a strange time for us to do this, but that's the other thing that gets me mad, all the strange times. But anyway, we'll soldier on through.
I'm not entirely sure why they do this on the Asian swing. They said it's to do with ticket sales, but I don't see how having a final on a Tuesday can be good for ticket sales. I don't get that, but there's many things that I don't understand about the ATP. So I'm just having a look at the weather, actually, because that's going to be a big talking point in the next few minutes.
Well, Chengdu starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, so you've got to watch this show, get across to the Betterers app, download the app, and have a bet on the outright market or any of the picks that you hear on this show. Obviously, the weather is important. I've been watching the women's tennis over in Seoul at the moment. It's raining non-stop all week. It looks like it's going to be an absolute nightmare to complete the tournament. I don't know if there's a bit of bad weather across over in China as well. It's going to be rain. Yep, there's going to be a bit of a problem.
It is going to be a bit of a problem. I'm just looking at the forecast now. We're doing Chengdu first, I assume. That's it doesn't look great. Just looking at the forecast, it doesn't look great for the next 2 weeks, actually. They've had a lot of delays today. Tomorrow looks absolutely shocking. 15 millimetres of rain expected all day. The conditions, they played an outdoor hard at 500 metres of altitude. They play with Yonex balls here, which they don't play, as far as I know, they don't play any other tournament with the Yonex balls. Maybe the odd one, but very, very rare. And this is another thing that players complain about. You know, they may have changed the balls this year, but there's no real website as such. There's just a Facebook page for this tournament, so there's no real information out there. Last couple of years, they've played with Yonex balls. We know it's got altitude. We know it plays quick. Last year, they were 84% hold, 74.8% first serve points won. But the year before, it was only 79% holds and 72.8 first serve points won. I mean, maybe a little slower this year because clearly there's not much sun around. But the altitude and the balls make it pretty quick. We can just go on what happened last year, really, because this tournament had quite a long hiatus with COVID and stuff. So the tiebreak matches, half the matches, 50% of the matches featured a tiebreak last year. Over 10.5 games in set one, 37% of those matches went over 10.5 in set one, and over 22.5, 56% went over 22.5 last year. So that kind of fits with the sort of conditions that you would expect here. Quick, quite a few tie breaks, lot of service points won, a lot of underdog winners as well. And this is why I like this time of year, because you can sometimes catch players when they're just kind of coasting towards the end of the season, whereas other players aren't, and that's generally why I tend to do a bit better in this swing, or shall I say, the best part of this season has been this one. So 43% underdog winners. That's huge in the 6 editions so far. Not massive on the profit and loss, so that suggests that a lot of the underdogs are only slight underdogs. You'd be $85.45 up if you'd backed every underdog just for $10 in the last 6 editions. But the weather, they do have a roof here in Chengdu. They also have indoor courts, and I think they're going to need them by the look of it. There's still another 21 millimetres of rain due today. That's Tuesday. Obviously, they're a long way ahead of us in terms of the time. Tomorrow, as I say, 15 mil of rain. Thursday doesn't look too bad. Friday, Friday looks okay, actually. And Saturday, Sunday, rain, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's all rain. Yeah. So we're kind of hoping that they're going to get this done. They might need the indoor courts. They're certainly going to need the roof. So that has entered my thinking as well in terms of the outright. As far as the trends are concerned, the number 1 seed has only won this once in the 6 editions so far. 4 of the 6 winners here were priced between 16-1 and 66-1. And 4 of the 6 losing finalists were priced between 25-1 and 50-1. So you can probably tell the way I'm going to approach this.
Look at the previous winners. Last year was won by Zhang Zverev. I'm guessing he was the number 1 seed in 2023. Karina Buster won it in 2019. Obviously, there was a gap because of COVID. Tomic, Istomin, Kachanov are the previous winners here in Chengdu. And let's have a look at the list of the players and the draw who could emulate those stars who I've just mentioned there. Lorenzo Musetti is the number 1 seed. He is at the top and he receives a bye. The top 4 seeds all receive byes through to the last 16. It's a 32 draw, but obviously there's only 28 players with the ties, byes, for the number 4 seeds. So Musetti receives a bye through to round number 2. If he goes with seedings, he'll play Sebastian Baez. Talon Griekspoor also receives a bye because he's the number 3 seed. If it goes to seedings, he will play Mpechi Perigard in a battle of the big servers. Lorenzo Sonego is a number 8 seed. He will be scheduled to play Brandon Nakashima, the number 4 seed, who has a bye. That is in Q3. And in Q4, it's Cam Norrie and Luciano Darderi. Hardly the most inspiring quarterfinal on the ATP Tour this year if they two get through. So looking at the draw, I think bottom half edges it in terms of the easiest section rather than top half of the draw. Top half of the draw looks very difficult, but let's have a look at the odds, the all-important odds. Lorenzo Musetti is plus 220 currently. This is where the time we look at the year and we sort of think about the race for Turin. Well, I do anyway. Lorenzo Musetti is currently 8th in the race for Turin, and a good end of the season will secure his place in the World Tour Finals in his homeland, and he's plus 220 to win this. But obviously, a bit of injuries, shows signs of return, but not probably back to his best. Nakashima is plus 480. He's in that bottom half of the draw. Cam Norrie 10, and Mpechi Perigard in the top half 10. Jordan Thompson 11, Luciano Tarderi 11, Talon Griekspoor 11, Botic van der Santhoek 14, Gael Monfils 14, Lorenzo Sonego 20, Quentin Halys 20, Terence Atmane at 20, Marcus Giron 22, Zhang at 28, and then we've got Baez and Zizou Bergs also at the same price of 28-1. I am guessing from your strategy and the way you're talking this up, I got a sneaky feeling that someone you like to this draw isn't even on that graphic.
Correct?
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, as I said, the winners don't tend to be from the top of the market. I mean, if you take Musetti out of that, you could look at that angle that you mentioned there for him with Turin, but Nakashima, Norrie, and Petchi Perigord, Jordan Thompson, Darderi, Griekspoor, Van der Zandschulp, Monfils. None of those guys would be interesting to me for various reasons. A lot of them are out of form. Some of them are just sick of tennis. Griekspoor being one who's said he's got no joy on the court anymore. So I've heard that phrase a lot this year. I think they're all copying each other. I don't have any joy on the court. I think several players have said that. Griekspoor certainly one of them. I'm taking a 66-1 shot here in the top half. I've got two, obviously, one in the top half, one in the bottom half. I'm taking Coleman Wong 66-1. I think that's a price is just certainly too big.
I think it's
Wong.
wrong.
Yes, it is. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's pretty obvious. Yeah. He's in great form at the minute. Played great in New York. You might have seen him as well. I saw him there. US Open, played some great stuff, beat some great players, lost in 5 sets in the end to Rublev. Very close there. He's attuned to the conditions. He's played Davis Cup in Hong Kong over the weekend, won both his singles, won his doubles as well. So at the minute, his confidence and mood, should be very high. And he's in a good little section, as I say. He's got a qualifier. I don't know who that's going to be. Griekspoor, as I've said, is in terrible form, and as I said, he says he needs to rediscover his joy. He said he was complaining about a lot of things, but he's miles away at the minute. He's barely won a match since the grass court swing. Petchi Perigord could obviously be dangerous in these conditions given the way he plays, but he's coming from a Davis Cup week on the clay, indoor clay in Croatia. He didn't actually play. Presumably Croatia picked that surface to blunt someone like Humbert and Petchi Perigord. So he didn't actually play, but he would have been hitting on the clay, if he was needed to play. So he's been playing on clay. So that's a bit of an off-putting one for me. So I don't think that Q2 is that difficult. Monfils we'll talk about in a bit. Petchi Perigord, he's in and out. Griekspoor, as I say, is struggling. Musetti is the obvious one that could be a problem, but how is he made the final here last year, Musetti? How is he going to approach this? He probably will want, as you said, to try and make it for Turin, but it's one thing wanting it. It's another thing being able to do it physically after a lot of tennis. So 66-1, each way in the top half, and Coleman Wong. So that's top half. Bottom half, Quentin Halys. I'm taking a chance on Quentin Halys here, 20-1, on the basis that conditions really should suit him here. He's not played before here, but quick altitude, it's got Halys written all over it. And if these matches move indoors, more the better for me, for Halys. He beat Cam Norrie, who's in his quarter, beat him in straight sets, indoor hard in Paris, end of last year. He's got O'Connell in the first round, who's, again, I'll talk about him in a bit, consistently injured, retired again last week. Darderi doesn't. I mean, he's improved Adrian on the hard courts, but he's ostensibly still a clay courter. He has shown improvement, but he could certainly be overpowered in conditions as quick as this. If it's Jordan Thompson that gets through there, Halys has got a 5-1 career series lead over Jordan Thompson, and Thompson's shown nothing in recent times since his injuries, lost in Davis Cup at the weekend. His form's awful, Halys, but if he's going to come back, make a comeback, make something of the rest of this season, you would think it would be here, where the conditions, for me, absolutely suit him. There's a lot of players here that I would just not necessarily rule out, but kind of overlook. Sonego, terrible record in the Asian swing. Giron, same. Jerry Shang's been injured for a long, long time. He won this last year, but his foot injury doesn't seem to have fixed. I'd consider him still very questionable to last even a match, let alone the whole tournament. Bergs has been on Davis Cup duty. Darderi, as I say, is at his best on clay. So, yeah, if Halys finds his form, I think 20-1 is pretty decent. So those are the two outrights for me in Chengdu.
Yeah, two big price selections there in a tournament that does throw up some shocks. 20-1, we have Quentin Halys, and not on the graphic, 66-1 Coleman Wong, the wild card from Hong Kong, who's in for good form. So Coleman Wong, there's two nice prices there on the outright market. And remember, as I say, it starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, so you don't have much time to head across to the Bet Rivers website or download the app to place those wagers. And if you do place the wagers, you'll be able to live stream these matches that we're going to talk about now. And obviously, if you like what you hear here, please subscribe to our newsletter and our insider. bettingweeklystudios.com is where you need to go and just register your email address, and we'll be added to our mailing list. So you'll get the insider and the newsletter every Monday and Friday delivered into your inbox. Okay, let's move on to some matches. Alexander Shevchenko against Gael Monfils is the first match that's caught your attention here. And it caught my attention, actually. I'm pretty staggered by the price. Gael Monfils here is minus 230. Alexander Shevchenko is plus 180. Obviously, he's a veteran. He's 38, 39 years. Mate, is he older than now? 30, is he 40?
38, I think.
38. I mean, he's been going around for a long time. He's had an awful long season, played a terrible amount of tennis, a load of long games as well. Every match in the majors was going 5 sets. And he's up against Alexander Shevchenko, a bit inconsistent Shevchenko, plus 180. Spread 3.5. Total here is 22.5. But Gael Monfils is in shocking form. He's he's lost 8 of his last 9 matches. He only won his last match he won was his first round win at Wimbledon against Hugo Humbert. And prior to that, he hadn't had a win since the French Open. So shocking form, but yet he's minus 180 to win this match. And the other thing that is worth adding, they have met once before in a challenger event in 2023, and Shevchenko won that. So it's 1-0 on the head-to-head record. Shevchenko hasn't had the best of seasons, but a win in the Davis Cup. A bit disappointed in the US Open with his performance against Davidovich-Fokina, but at the price plus 180, I think that's a bit of a carrot dangled there for us.
Yeah, it was an even bigger carrot before. A lot of these matches in Chengdu, massive swings in price, huge. I mean, Monfils was minus $4 when this opened up, which I thought was ridiculous. Still looks short at minus 230, but minus $4. The Bergs match has moved. The Halys match has moved massively. Atmane's moved massively. I don't know, these small tournaments, you know more about this than I do, Nigel, but that maybe doesn't take that much to move the market. But a lot of this, when I looked at this, it's sort of late last night, and this morning it's changed quite a bit. But
I think they'll have sort of generated limits. So, you know, a 250 may have a limit of, I mean, a couple of thousand or maybe 1,500, something like that. But a major might have, say, 20,000 to move a price. So that'll buy why they're moving. And obviously, it's a time of year where everybody's worried about injuries and concerns. So the bookmakers' liabilities and the fact their fear factor may be a lot higher than it would be at Wimbledon or in the middle of the season where everyone's supposedly a lot fitter.
Yeah, they're probably thinking about previous years as well in the Asian swing and thinking of all the upsets. Yeah, I mean, you've got to question what motivation Monfils has got here. He's 39, sorry. He's just turned 39, so slightly wrong there, but that's even worse. 39 years of age. He looks close to the end at the moment, Monfils. He said after losing to Safrin in New York, he said, I've been pretty worn out for a lot of years now. I had a lot of success at the start of the year, but it's been a lot harder for me for a year and a half now. I'm already happy when I managed to reach a decent average level of play, let's say. But now the average level has really dropped. My average level isn't good. It's simply become harder. He just looks like he's at the end of the road at the minute, all of a sudden, and it can happen like that. You know, he's 39. You got to think about that. He's lost 7 of his last 8 matches, as you said. His last 4 matches have all been defeats against players ranked between 94 and 243 in the world. And as you said, he lost to Shevchenko in their only prior meeting as a minus 213 favourite as well. I know it was in a challenger, but it will give Shevchenko confidence. You know, and he's coming here, Shevchenko, fresh from a match-winning Davis Cup on a hard court in South Korea. So he should be the one better attuned to the conditions. He's clearly been here for longer. He's been here, practiced ahead of Davis Cup in this part of the world. He's adjusted to the time zone and the general conditions. So he should be in a good frame of mind. Also, he made a challenger final on hard just before the US Open, the week before, a few days before, actually. So he's been in decent form lately as well. He did retire in that challenger final with an injury, so that may have been a factor to when he lost heavily against Davidovich-Fokina in the first round in New York. Again, it goes back to what I'm saying about players that turn up for the first round of majors for the 100 grand, probably not fit. I would imagine if that was a lesser tournament, maybe he wouldn't have played. But even statistically, if you look at the last 10 matches at main level, Shevchenko, not great stats, 40% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 96. Monfils, just a 20% win rate, and his total is just 1 point better on 97. Yet they initially priced this up at minus $4 for Monfils, now minus 230. I'm still happy to take a chance on Shevchenko at plus 180. It's not the price that it was, but I think the price that it initially was just plain wrong. So yeah, Shevchenko not the most reliable. He sometimes puts in some very questionable performances, that is for sure. But yeah, the carrot, as you said, that's been dangled. I'm going to have a little bite on it. I think plus 180.
Plus 180. There is the price for Alexander Shevchenko. We may have missed a little bit of the early bird has got the worm there, but we still think there might be a little bit of a tempter. The plus 180 for Shevchenko against Gael Monfils, who's absolutely shocking form coming towards the end of his career. Another match here, which is interests me on the dog as well, is Terence Atmane against Dino Prizmic. Minus 155 for Prizmic, plus 125 for Atmane. 1.5 spread, 22.5 total. Atmane obviously was incredible in his run to the semi-finals at Cincinnati. Beat Holger Rune, Fritz Fonseca, Kaboli, Nishioka. Comes through qualifying as well to win that. So he's on a great run. The last match he did play was against Sinner. Then he got injured and obviously, unfortunately, had to miss the US Open. So Atmane does come here with some injury concerns, but he wouldn't travel all the way over to here if you're not fit. He's plus 125. They've never met each other before, but on current form, Atmane doesn't deserve to be the dog here. 25 and 14 on a hard court this year compared to Prizmic, who's 7 and 3, and he's 51 spots higher in the world rankings than his opponent here. If he's fit, if he can replicate that form from Cincinnati, then he's a cracking bet, plus 125.
Yeah, I mean, the problem here is that the odds have changed massively as well. You know what he was to start with?
No.
Atmane. Prizmic. He was 1 to 3.
Wow.
Prizmic. Now his price is...
Why on earth is that?
It must be to do with the injury to Atmane. I looked at that and I thought, that can't possibly be right. Now his price has almost doubled. He was 1.3, now he's about 1.6 in decimal, roughly. So his price has pretty much doubled. Which again, that annoys me because I'm just thinking about the price that he was rather than the price that he is now. It must be about the foot injury because, as you said, he had that great run in Cincinnati. Very similar conditions as well. A quick, a very lively hardcore, a little bit of altitude in Cincy, not as much as here, but tiny bit. If we think about what he did there, anything like that form would make this a crazy price on Prizmic, who's by and large at his best on clay and very much a counter puncher. That's the way he plays. He's had a great season, but he's still only 4 wins and 17 losses in his 21 matches that he's played at all levels against top 100 opponents. And he's coming from indoor clay in Davis Cup as well. So he's got to change surfaces, change time zones to a surface, to conditions that are probably a little bit on the quicker side for him. Atmane did say that it would be a wise, after he got that injury, he said it would be a wise decision to skip the US Open. He had to qualify. So he didn't, that would have been literally like a day after Cincy, I think. Clearly wasn't ready to do that. He said he's not going to do that, but he's going to focus on being ready for Chengdu. He said that weeks and weeks ago. So we'll see how ready he is. At the original odds, I certainly would have had an official play on Atmane. It's probably just going to have to be a lean now because the price isn't as good as it was. But some people will still see plus 125 as a bit of value. I just can't have Prizmic at that price. If Atmane plays his best tennis, the way that he plays, very aggressive, he could blow Prizmic off the court here. So yeah, it would be definitely the Atmane side of things for me on this one.
So is it an official play at the plus 125, even though we've missed the boat?
I just feel like I've missed out a bit on that one, unfortunately. But some people will still bet it at that price. I still think Atmane is an all right price. It's just annoying that he's nowhere near the price he was.
Yep. Hopefully, some of you got on early with Bet Rivers when the lines come out. But Terence Atmane at plus 125 is a lean for us. We missed the boat there on that price. And there is loads of markets available on the Bet Rivers website. Make sure you do not miss out on any of those value by heading across to the website or downloading the app. Now, let's move on to our penultimate match over in Chengdu. And it's a match we pretty much touched on him just a minute ago. Lorenzo Sonego against Manuel Cerundolo. So Lorenzo Sonego, as you said, I haven't got the record in front of me, but he said he's got an absolutely terrible record over at this part of the world. But he's minus 225 with Bet Rivers. Cerundolo is plus 175. Spread 3.5. Total here is 22.5. Cerundolo actually won the challenger in where is it? Guangzhou. So he's in good form coming into this event. Sonego isn't in the best of form. He's lost 3 of his last 4 matches. Beaten in the first round at the US Open when we opposed him against Schoolgate. Beaten in the round 16 of Winston-Salem by Munar. And as you said, terrible records at this part of the world at this time of the season.
Yeah, this line's moved as well, but not as much as the others. It's still all right, I think. Yeah, I mean, Cerundolo should obviously be the one more attuned to the conditions here in China, having just won that Guangzhou Challenger title as recently as Sunday. So he's very much got the time zone, got the level, got the conditions. He was a little bit fortunate to get a retirement off Dan Evans, who fell over and hurt his wrist in that Challenger tournament. Then he got another retirement earlier in the tournament as well, but still played very well. And he beat Alejandro Tabilo comfortably in the final. So he's certainly improved massively on hard courts. Used to be a clay guy, not so much anymore. He was an out-and-out clay guy. Now he's clearly more capable on the other surfaces. He's shown it on other occasions as well. Sonego, as I said, poor record in China. Lost 5 of his last 6 in this country. Lost all 3 matches he played on the Asian swing last year. And he only won 1 set in those 3 matches. So highly questionable record at this part of the year, Sonego. He's lost 7 of the 10 matches he's played in his career on the Asian swing. So it wasn't just a last year thing. It's been an ongoing trend for him. So clearly his motivation here is questionable. I've said about him before, he tends to show up for the big tournaments, and the rest of them, his record is nowhere near as good. He also has a bit of an issue against left-handers in recent times. Cerundolo, obviously a lefty. He's lost 8 of his last 10 main-level matches against left-handers as Sonego. And as I said, Cerundolo's been playing a lot better a lot better in recent times on the hard. He's been a bit more aggressive. He's certainly attuned to the hard courts more than he used to be. So given the fact that he's already well into this time zone and well into the conditions in China, he should be the one ready to go straight off the bat. So plus 143 with Bet Rivers about him winning the opening set is where I'm going to go here. There's a lot of options in this one. Over games, over sets, they're also possible options. Whatever way you want to do it, I can't see Sonego winning this comfortably. I'm very surprised if he does, unless Cerundolo's fatigued after that challenger. But yeah, I think the value is plus 143 on the opening set for Cerundolo there.
Yeah, remember the action starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time. I think this Cerundolo match is the following day, so we've got a bit of time on that. 34 different markets available on the Bet Rivers website as of now. This match will be obviously played not tomorrow, but the next day as well. And you'll be able to add the markets onto that as well. But one match that is going to be played tomorrow. I've been on the sunshine for a week. I'm absolutely loving it. I've come home for 1 hour, and my nose has not stopped streaming since I've been running, since I've been on this show. So I apologise for that. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's move on to our final match in Chengdu. It's a match that is in the early hours of tomorrow morning. It's 3 a.m. Eastern time. There is over 40 markets available on this match on the app. It's Quentin Halys up against Christopher O'Connell. We like Halys to win the tournament at 20-1, so I'm sure we'd be betting the Frenchman here at plus 102. Christopher O'Connell is minus 127. Spread is half game, but obviously that's relevant into the match market. And the total here is a high one. 23.5 is the high for the total here. If you look at the record of the two players coming into this match, it's not good for either of them. And if looking at the head-to-head record, O'Connell has had just the one win against Halys, which was in Dubai. 2 tiebreaks, 7-6, 7-6, 2 close matches in qualifying back in 2023. But both players not in the best of form, but we've made a case for Halys. It's quick, might be indoors. We're not going to bet him on the match as well, or are we?
No, that isn't the reason why I put this match in, actually, the money line price, because Halys, this is another one that's changed massively. Halys actually opened at 1.57, minus 175 for this match. Now he's plus 102. Wow. It's not a great sign as far as I'm concerned for the outright, but yeah, I did think 1.57 was a bit short, but yeah, if you've had the value on O'Connell, you might do okay. But the problem with O'Connell is fitness. Is he fit? You would have to question it. He's been injured constantly for quite a long time now. Retired a few days ago in the Guangzhou Challenger, where he was defending title points. I think he won that last year. But the reason I put this in is because it should be a really serve-dominated affair in conditions that are quick at altitude. If you look at that Dubai meet in 2023, it's normally quickish in Dubai if it's played during the day. And the stats from that match, Halys hit 23 aces in 2 sets at an average of 1.77 aces per game, and won 82% on his first serve. O'Connell even better, 89% first serve points won, 70% second serve points won. Return points won, very, very low for Halys. 18% return points won for Halys, which is frankly awful. O'Connell low as well at 31%, but still quite a bit better. So a massively serve-dominated affair in Dubai. It will be quicker here, I would suggest. So you would think that would be the same again. Tie break, serve-dominated, not many return points won. I mean, I can see why the odds have changed on the basis that Halys did virtually nothing on return against O'Connell, but I definitely wouldn't trust O'Connell to see out the match given his injury issues. He's been struggling for a long, long time. I think it was a back issue actually in Guangzhou. Before that, it was abdominals that were the problem for him, and he's just not been able to compete at his best for quite a long time now. So if I was betting in this one, I would certainly take set one over 10.5 games, which was plus 170 Bet Rivers when I looked earlier. A very serve-dominated one. I would go there rather than the money line.
I'm going to look now, see if it's... What was it before?
It was plus 170, 2.7 over 10.5.
I'll find it. I can never find it when I need to find it. How can I never find it? Well, I'm used to it.
I doubt that would have changed. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's not the sort of market that would move that much, you wouldn't have thought.
So we're going over 10.5. Set number one there in the match between Quentin Halys and Christopher O'Connell. Remember, Quentin Halys is our pick on the outright market as well, so we're cheering on him to win this match, but we expect it to be quite close in the first set. Now, there is another 250 over in China this week. It's in Hangzhou, and it's got all the... So there's a lot of players in there you want to put a line through. I've never known a draw where the top 4 seeds, you wouldn't trust any of them. Rublev, Medvedev, Bublik and Mute. Oh, my God, this could be carnage here. So before we go into the runners and riders, look at the draw, look at the bracket, go through the trends. What do you got for us here? I mean, I wouldn't trust any of these players. I'm just
looking at the weather forecast now. Actually, it's very, very hot today and tomorrow. Even now, it's evening time in Hangzhou. It's 37 degrees.
Oh.
Tomorrow it's supposed to be 36, but with 20 mil of rain. So I'm guessing it's like thunder showers. Thursday it's supposed to have thunder showers as well, 5 mil of rain. Friday it's 32 degrees. And then Saturday, rain. Sunday, possible rain. Monday, Tuesday, rain. Wednesday, 23 mil of rain. And it goes on and on. So we're guessing a bit as to how these matches are going to be played. I'm not sure what Hangzhou's situation is with indoor courts. I know the main court's got a roof. I'm not sure about the rest. It's only been played once on the ATP Tour, which was last year. It's another one of these tournaments like Chengdu, which is an unspecified outdoor hard court. Chengdu used to be a Deca turf, but then since COVID, they just haven't bothered telling us what surface it is. So it's just hard, outdoor hard. No altitude here, though. Certainly slower, you would suggest, than Chengdu, and a little bit bouncier as well. So slightly different conditions. Last year, there was 36% of the matches featured a tie break. Over 10.5 in set one was 35%. That's still quite high. Over under 22.5 games, 56% went under last year. So that's kind of the opposite of Chengdu. But there were a healthy amount of underdog winners. 38% of the dogs won in 2024, and you would have made a measly $2 of profit if you'd have bet all of the underdogs in that tournament for $10. Obviously, no trends. It's only been played once last year. Chilich won it 33-1, beating 11-1 Zhizhen Zhang in the final.
Were we on Zhang last year? I think we were on Zhang last year. No, I thought we were on Zhang. Okay, I think we bet him. Did we bet a couple of Chinese players?
We might have bet him in the matches. We probably bet Nishioka. He's my standard go-to in the Asian swing, but he's not playing this time. Well, not this week anyway.
Let's have a look at the players that are playing. This is the bracket. As I said, it's some real retrobates in this one. Some players that you really wouldn't trust at all in these conditions and this time of the year. But number one seed is Andrei Rublev. He, again, like the tournament over in Chengdu, the top 4 seeds receive buys through to the last 16, and Rublev has received a buy. If he gets to seedings, he'll play Lerner Tien, the young American, in the Q1. Q2, Corentin Moutet will play Ugo Carabelli, if he gets that far. I'd be surprised if he did. Q3 will be Berrettini against Alexander Bublik, and Q4 would be Adrian Mannarino against Daniel Medvedev. Obviously, as Sean said there, Chilik's the only winner before of this tournament. It's only had one tournament, so we haven't really got much to go on, but we do know it's hot. We do know it's going to be a little bit slower. No humidity, no altitude to worry about. So where are we looking at here? I wouldn't trust any of these top six in this betting here. Andre Rublev 3-1, Daniel Medvedev 4-1, Bublik 450, Berrettini 8, Mute 14, Korda 16. I wouldn't trust any of those with anyone's money. Lerner Tien, quite interesting in him at 20-1, Kovacevic 22, Mannarino playing well 25, defending champion Cilic 28, Arthur Kazoo 30, Arnaldo 30, Yuchikata Boo 30 and 33-1 bar. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got someone else not in that graphic for you, Sean.
We've got two that aren't in that graphic.
There you go.
Sorry. One of them is. I do apologise. One of them is in there. Sorry, he's just low down. He is. Yeah, it's difficult. This isn't it? The top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top 6, I wouldn't be touching at all. So that's them out straight away. One of them will probably win it now, but Rublev 3-1. It shows you how Medvedev's fallen, that he's now rated less likely to win a 250 than Rublev on a hard court. For people that perhaps
is that right though? Do you think that's right? I think
it's because the draw where Medvedev is Q4 is a lot harder.
Yeah.
Than Q1 where Rublev is by like a long way. You look at Q4, you've got Mannarino, Korda, Cilic, all those guys in there. Rublev's draw looks way easier. I guess that's why. But for people that perhaps don't know Medvedev, obviously people will know he's been struggling, but he has now split with his long-term coach, Gilles Savara, been with for many, 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 many years. And he's now working with, which I thought was a strange choice, he's now working with Thomas Johansson, which I have to say, he's coached a few players, Goffin. He's coached some of the WTA players as well, Johansson, not with any great success that I can really recall. But for whatever reason, Medvedev is chosen to work with him. And that kind of is a big thing for Medvedev. He's been with Savara for years, trying to do something different, obviously. But, can he change the style that he plays? He plays the way he plays, which is counter-punching, just he's rock bottom on confidence, and you wouldn't bet him at 4-1. He's now presumably making changes to his game under Johansson as well, so he'll be a work in progress, you would have thought. Bublik retired in Davis Cup a few days ago with a thigh injury, so he's clearly not fit. Quentin Mute had a real epic week, if you like, in Davis Cup on indoor clay, where he made his debut and he was kind of man of the match, and he was absolutely pumped for it. I imagine he's got a coming. Ugo Carabelli wouldn't fancy him on clay anyway. On hard anyway. Berrettini's not played since the end of June with yet another abdominal injury. So, and Korda's injured as well. Maybe he's not injured right now, but he certainly has been injured for most of this season. He was injured at the US Open. So how likely is he to last the distance? I would say questionable. So the top half, I've gone for a slightly out there choice for me, but I just like the draw here and a few signs that I've seen in recent weeks from Thomas Martin Etcheverry, 33-1. I do like his draw. In the first round, he's got Damir Zuma, who's coming from very, very different conditions. He's coming all the way from Quito in South America, which is, if people remember when there was an ATP tournament played there, really, really, really high altitude, like thousands of meters of altitude. He's coming from there, playing on clay, all the way to China. You would think he's going to be all over the place in those circumstances, Zuma. And then Etcheverry would probably have Ugo Carabelli, who he beat very, very easily in New York. As I say, not a hard court man, Ugo Carabelli. He may then get what I said is what I assume to be a very tired and kind of just a bit burned out, maybe Mute, who gave absolutely everything on the clay in Davis Cup in Croatia, or potentially Arnaldo, who Etcheverry leads 2-0 in their head-to-head. Maybe it would be Kazoo. Etcheverry leads him in their head-to-head as well. 2-1, should also have won the match that he lost in Gstaad against Kazoo. So that's a good early draw for me for Etcheverry. And that section, that Q2, looks very, very weak. The other thing I like about him, he's come from a good win in Davis Cup on indoor hard in the Netherlands, away at Netherlands, beat Jesper de Jong there. He sacked his coach at the end of July, so he's changed things up recently, and he's had a little bit of time now to get things going with the new team. And he also beat Rublev, who would probably be his semi-final opponent. He beat him on grass in Halle this summer, in quick conditions. So on paper, his draw looks very, very decent for a 33-1 shot. I know people will see him as more of a clay guy, but he can certainly play on hard courts as well. And he's beaten Rublev on grass, which is certainly was Echeverry's weakest surface. So he should fancy his chances looking at this draw. The bottom half is perhaps maybe slightly more obvious choice in Yun Chaukete Bu, who's 30-1. And again, I think that's a very good price. He's another guy that's changed things up a lot recently. He's now working with Javier Milís as his coach. Milís coached Popyrin before, and he was with Greek Sport for a bit as well. So did a lot of very good things with Popyrin, Xavier Milís. And Bu has said what he's trying to get Milís to bring to his game is to be more aggressive, finish off points with more aggressive style. So that would go well on hard courts, you would think. And he's obviously highly motivated. This swing is Bu. People will probably recall he did very, very well this time of the year last year. Made the semi-finals here, and also made the semi-finals in Beijing. Beat a lot of good players, so he's got a lot of points to defend. So there's a little bit of pressure there, but he's proven that this is his time of the year playing at home. He did play Davis Cup in Ireland, but he only played one very quick match, just over an hour or whatever. So he shouldn't be too fatigued. But the fatigue you think would be offset, if there is any tiny fatigue, will be offset by the fact that this is his swing. This is his time of year. Again, on paper, very good draw. He's got Zhang in the first round, who hasn't played for like 6 months or something. So you would expect him to beat him. I would imagine Zhang's potentially here for sort of sponsorship reasons. The fact that he is the finalist, he is a Chinese player. The cynical side of me would suggest that that's probably why he's here. He could have played in Davis Cup in that Ireland match, but he didn't. So I would suggest he's probably not fit. He's got Bublik in that quarter who probably can't be fit. You wouldn't have thought, retired in Davis Cup, you wouldn't have thought he'd want to do that unless it was quite a big issue for him. So he's not fit either. So that Q3 looks a good spot to be in. Berrettini, as I've said, hasn't played for 3 months or whatever with an abdominal injury. So it looks a decent draw. Q4 looks incredibly difficult. So hopefully he'll come through there and he'll meet somebody in Q4 that has had to really battle and scrap and potentially be a bit fatigued coming through there. The other issue, of course, is the weather. I don't know what the situation is with indoor courts or whatever, but I can't imagine the likes of Medvedev and sort of Korda wanting to hang around in a 250 when there's 500 and 1,000 to come. So, yeah, motivation there for Bu as well.
Yeah, big question marks about the leading contenders in this draw, the top 6, big question marks about them. There's 2 big price alternatives there. Thomas Martin Echeverry back in form at 33-1, and Yutaketa Bu, who will love the conditions, at 30-1 as well. They are our picks in Hangzhou, and the tournament there, again, starts this evening. I'm going to get you the time. I think it's around about 2 o'clock Eastern time. I think it's an hour later than the one in Chengdu. Yes, it's 2 o'clock Eastern time over there. So if you want to bet Sean's advice and follow him in on those picks, you need to do that this evening because it starts early hours of tomorrow morning, 2 o'clock Eastern time. There's just one match that you caught your eye over in Hangzhou, and it's a match between Adrian Mannarino and Wu. Mannarino has been in good form in recent weeks, playing some of his best tennis en route to the last 16 of the US Open. He obviously did well at Cincinnati as well. Did well against Sinner. Almost pushed Sinner really close in the round of 16 in Cincinnati. He got beat. Rolling back the years, we thought he was done, but he isn't. He's up against Wu here. Obviously, he's going to be cheered on by some support and and the conditions. And the head-to-head is 1-0 to Wu. He did win their only previous match, which was in 2023 in Dallas in straight sets, 6-3, 6-4. This time around, Mannarino is the favourite, though. He's minus 148. Wu is plus 118. Spread is 1.5 and 22.5 the total. And if you do bet on this match, you'll be able to live stream it on the app or on the website on your tablet or your home device. Mannarino looking good, but up against the local boy here is what are we doing here? I think this is a tough one to call. I'm interested to see where you're going to go on this.
Yeah, I think Mannarino is probably exhausted after everything he did in the hard court swing to kind of turn it around. I want to say turn his career around, but I mean he's 37. There's not a lot he can do about that. But he certainly turned it around from the majority of people thinking he's done to to just outside the top 50 in a blink of an eye almost. I just think we might find two differing levels of motivation here. As I said, Mannarino played a lot of tennis, played 13 matches in the 6 weeks at the age of 37. He looked very, very on his last embers of energy when he played against Lehechka at the US Open. So he's got a lot of tennis in those 37-year-old legs, whereas Yibing Wu, he must be desperate for this match, this tournament. It's his home tournament. He's from here. He's from Hangzhou. Given his injury problems that he's had, not just recently, but throughout his career, he's had so many injury problems. But he looked like he was getting his form back in the hard court matches just before the US Open. Washington, D.C., played really, really well there. Beat Quentin, beat Popyrin, beat Monfils. As a qualifier, he was tired against, I think it was Medvedev that beat him in the next round. But very, very good wins there. Then he went to the qualies for the US Open because his ranking has dropped a lot because of all his injuries. Made it to the final qualifying round there, lost out only to Jerome Kim, who, as we saw, had a really, really good tournament, Jerome Kim. So no disgrace there, losing to him in the final round of qualies. He was absolutely on fire. So motivation level and form for me are very, very good for Wu. And he beat Mannarino very comfortably when they met on indoor hard in Dallas. Quick conditions there in Dallas as well when they played that match. Service points won and return points won totals 116-84 in favour of Wu. So a very dominant victory. Mannarino only won 26% of return points in that match and only 33% of second serve points. So it was a very, very one-sided affair in favour of Wu. The problem that he's had has been health and fitness in his career. He's had so many injuries. It's been a bit of a shame for him because he's a very, very talented player, very aggressive player. I'm assuming he's fit, because if he is fit, I think he'll just want this more than Mannarino, who's probably a little bit jaded after everything that he's done. So, yeah, I'm happy to take plus money. Again, this price has moved a little bit, but plus 118 is still pretty decent for me. Official pick. Yeah, let's go with Wu.
I like that. Plus 118. You convinced me. I didn't really know how they go, but obviously the local lad from his hometown, something to prove. Plus 118 against an exhausted Mannarino at the end of his career could be the way to go. So there's a whole host of different bets you have, Phil, on the two tournaments. The two 250s this week in Chengdu and Hangzhou. Sean, just give us a little bit of a recap of the bets, the official bets, what we're going with.
Yeah, so in Hangzhou then, the one I just talked about, Yibing Wu on the money line, plus 118 to beat Mannarino. And the two big priced outrights there are Yunchak Bu, 30-1. He's in the bottom half of the draw each way. And Echeverry, Thomas Martin Echeverry, 33-1 also each way there. Moving on to Chengdu, if I can get the right bit of paperwork up. The match bets there's a couple of match bets there. The first one is taking a chance on Shevchenko on the money line. Alexander Shevchenko against Monfils, plus 180, that is on the money line. And the other one was the set one win for Juan Manuel Cerundolo, plus 143 to win the opening set against Lorenzo Sonego. And the two outrights there, again, another two big price ones. Coleman Wong, 66-1, and Quentin Halys, 20-1, both those each way.
Yep, if you've been following the bets since the start of the year, after the US Open, you were almost approaching 16 points of profit, 15.23 units of profit up on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on the season so far. So a good return on the season. Lots more content coming your way here on the Betting Weekly studios. We have the Champions League returning this week, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Betting Weekly live at 11 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be on Tuesday, Will White on Wednesday, and James Easton on Thursday. Betting Weekly Tennis Live continues today, Tuesday and on Wednesday with the handicapping team as well. And on stateside, we have week 3 on the NFL. Our new show, Betting Weekly The Edge, returns this week, and the 2 shows a week on that. Fast Break and Hard Ball as well. I remember I did say at the top of the show, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like what you hear on these shows, sign up for the newsletter. It's totally free. Get exclusive tips and free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at thebettingweeklystudios.com. And finally, if you are a soccer bettor and you are involved, the Premier League is back on Thursday as well on the show there, and extra time as well on Friday. We have a soccer profit boost with BetRivers. Log on to your BetRivers app or your BetRivers.com account each week to receive a soccer profit boost pack consisting of a live bet profit boost and a parlay profit boost. See the app or website for more details. Sean, good to be back. Are we coming back on Thursday? Thursday's good time.
I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I think so.
Back on Thursday. Back to England. Back with a cold. Back after 2 hours. Runny nose. Headache. Sore throat. But we'll be back Thursday. Don't know what condition we'll be, but we'll be here. Hopefully you join us. Hopefully you subscribe. Hopefully you enjoy the show. And hopefully we cash some winning bets. Have a good day. And we'll see you all again on Thursday here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match.